Halloween!
Halloween, you're beautiful.
So are you. I'm hungry. Do you work at a drive-thru? I want a hamburger, french fries, and a Coke. What?
I am a lifeguard.
Oh.
Adam said all I do every day is save people's lives, so there you go. So I'm going for a lifeguard outfit. I had like two different outfits this year, so.
I love it. You get all the fun there is to have at a Halloween. Well, I'll be the first drowned-in person who wants to eat the donut that you throw over her.
I think you're like a female pirate / gypsy kind of woman.
Absolutely. That would be me, a pirate gypsy. Now, we are live from New Orleans today, folks. Live from New Orleans. We have St. Patrick's Cemetery behind me, and the wind is whipping up to say hello. New Orleans has special significance to today's guest, who is going to be Mr. Jim Morrison. This is where he performed his very last show 47 years ago, this December 12th.
He's shaking his head yes.
All right, so welcome to the Halloween episode of Chillin with Adam. Who is Adam? Adam is my 27-year-old son who transitioned as a result of injuries sustained in a car accident in January 2011. Adam started communicating with me while his body was still on life support. He was an organ donor, and he has been communicating with me ever since. Hi, Adam. Happy Halloween.
He's going, hi, Mama. Guess who I am?
Who are you, Adam?
I'm James Brown, Mama.
You are James Brown? All right, get out.
Mama, that'll be our next guest.
Oh, that would be so cool. I would love to have James Brown be our next guest.
He's got this afro.
I love it.
It's out of proportion, so it's like this.
So Adam has an afro that's like bigger than his whole head. I love it. How fun. We have a live audience today. It's really fun. We have our friends Kelly Guidry. We have Matt Neugebauer. And we have Kelly's daughter, Haley. We have my husband, Greg Adams. So we're having a good time partying in New Orleans.
Adam is saying, hey, guys, I love you all.
And we love you too, Adam. We are so excited to have Jim come today. What a super fun surprise to learn of the not so happy coincidence that Jim has with New Orleans, but I wasn't aware that there was significance of this place in terms of Jim and his band, The Doors.
Yeah, but Adam is saying, Mom, if you think about it, if you look at all our lives, everything has significance to us. We've all been somewhere someday at one point in time. So in some way or form, every place has a unique bond with us. And sometimes we can feel that. We'll go to a place and it'll feel familiar and it'll be the first time you visit it. Mm-hmm. But for some reason it'll feel familiar. When you get those feelings, when you get those familiarities, just something needs to click in your mind and say, I've been here before. I don't know in what time zone or where or how, but I've been here before. So it's always cool to really trust those instincts. You say, Mom, I just want to talk a little bit about our interview with you, because I know a lot of people were worried about Joan Collins.
Oh, gosh. She's live and well, folks, as far as we know. But yeah, you're right. It was a little
live and well.
Yeah.
But let me explain, he says, because, it was the higher self of Joan Collins who steps forward. Now, we all have a higher self.
We do.
Which means that at the same time as time does not exist, time is a linear invention by the humans.
Absolutely.
Time does not exist. because of that, that means that your higher self is in spirit form, but you can also be all over the world in different time zones all at the same time. So what happens sometimes is that when a person crosses over, that entity, that higher self, might have several connections, and that is the case with Joan Collins. They have had several lifetimes together. Okay, and so they are very close with one another. They're very bonded and connected. And so when Hugh wanted to come forward, he wanted to bring his girls with him that had, that he thought he was very proud of, that they were on the magazine. Now, Joan hasn't passed on yet, but her higher self really wanted to be there for that reunion. She really wanted to reconnect with this soul who she has had several lifetimes with. So it is possible to connect to a person who hasn't been deceased yet. There are other mediums who will interview higher selves of people who are currently on this earth. I just wanted to explain that a little bit, because I know a lot of people get confused. A lot of people think that if you're on earth, that means you're nowhere else. But we are everywhere, all the time, present. So there is no now. There is no one you. There are thousands and thousands of you. And just understanding that, and understanding that time does not exist, then you can understand that you are everywhere at the same time. If whenever you're following your gut, whenever you're following your feelings, that is your higher self directly communicating to you and guiding you and directing you to where you need to go. So your higher self is always present. Even if you're here, your spiritual self is always communicating to you. And this is the case with Hef. She didn't want to miss out on a party.
So, for instance,
she likes to be in the attention. She always has. She's a really wonderful person, and she's a wonderful lady, Adam says. And one day when she feels ready for it, she'll come home, and then we will interview her again, and she can explain to you the close connection that she had with everyone in that group.
Okay, so basically it's possible that we can be here now and still communicate with our higher selves.
Exactly, because we always are. Every day, every minute, we are communicating to our higher self, who is at that point also in other lives currently working with other incarnations of you. And so, and a lot of people don't understand this either, you can have several incarnations on the same planet in the same time zone.
Right.
Because it is your higher self who sends out these new consciousness that need to be born. And she can do that in whatever shape or form, place, or time. So it is possible that a part of your higher self is walking around somewhere. You might have maybe already met her or him in your lifetime. Those things can happen.
That's interesting. So, like, when you hear stories about people who have seen their own doppelgangers, it's possible that that's actually another version of themselves, another aspect having a different incarnation. Wow.
That is possible.
Very interesting.
Is possible. We don't always look the same, but it
Right.
is possible that they're very similar.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times when we talk about soulmates, when we really have those people who are so connected to one another that, some people even die together. They crawl into bed together, they cross over together, they do everything together, inseparable.
Right.
A lot of times those beings come from one higher self. They are one and the same. And they are here to really experience a very, very close spiritual level-based relationship. And so you do create two different consciousness, but they're all part of the same higher self. So things like that can happen. And this is me now.
Okay.
But I had an encounter with my higher self, or with another part of me, I think. I think I was about 10 years old, and we were in the mall with my mom and my dad and my brother. And my brother just gives me a nudge, and he going, that is you, but older. And this lady seemed like she was in her 30s. And I look up, and I literally see myself standing there, but older. And I never forgot that part because I was so in shock. She looked identical like me, and we were both in shock. And I was like, oh my God, is this like a time frame or time zone lapse? Or, you know, we were all in shock.
Crazy.
But clearly that was another part of me in the current life that I'm leading as well. So,
and then we recently spoke with Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina, and they explained how she and Chrissy were, did they say twin souls? Is that how she described it? Where they had the same higher self, did they not?
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. So the very next interview that you're going to see published on our channel will be that interview with Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina. So watch that interview to see how one higher self might manifest on the same timeline as two different people.
Exactly. So, you know, he's just saying you need to be very open-minded about this because people really want to always, it's either one or the other.
Right.
Right. The universe doesn't work that way. It's all at once.
Exactly.
That's
once
how
we
the universe works.
Finally get our heads around reincarnation, we have to go and confuse ourselves by talking about parallel lives, right?
Exactly. You know, it's not, the universe isn't as simple as we think it is.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is, he says.
That's right. So, Mr. Morrison, thank you so much for stepping forward today. This is your show. What would you like to share with us? Welcome back to New Orleans. Let's have a happier time.
He's saying thank you. He seems very laid back. He's just saying hello, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Saying, well, I don't know for sure if my life was really that interesting. What? I'm going, what? Are you kidding me? But he's saying, you know, he's going, I don't know what I should tell you because I don't feel like I was really here to teach anybody anything. He says, my life was all about me.
All about you?
It was all about me. It was all about learning to accept myself, and it was all about learning to experience love. The problem was that I didn't like life. I didn't feel comfortable in living. What a lot of people don't understand is that I had a very different way of thinking and absorbing the world around me. I came from a family with a military father, and you know, his way of discipline was never hitting, but it was very verbal. It was verbal abuse. It was basically what you would see in military training, where they will yell at you until you completely break down and cry. And so that really made me very insecure. The fact that we were always moving around and I didn't have many friends didn't help with those insecurities. And so a lot of times in school I would always hide behind a mask of comedy. I would try and make people laugh, to just hide. But you know, I loved reading. I loved poetry. That was my passion. Writing, poetry, expressing in some way or form. My poetry was my way of expressing my anger, my frustration, my my vision of the world. And fortunately, and that is one of my biggest regrets, nobody ever saw me as a poet. I needed to find a way to bring my work forward. And the only way at that moment that I thought I could do it was by being in the media, by, putting your face up on TV. And so by starting a band. Now, it was never my intention to become a singer. I still don't believe I am a singer. A lot of people will disagree, but in my eyes, I was never a singer.
So it was about the lyrics?
It was all about, it was about, for me, it was poetry enhanced by beats. It was poetry enhanced by music, to really reach people on a different level, to really connect to them on a more energetic level. Now, it was really hard for me to connect to people. Most people adored me for my looks, for the fact that I was different, that I really didn't give a shit what people thought. And I had, let's just say that I was allergic to anything that was restricted, that was rules, regulations, being like everyone else. It was just, I did not want to be like everyone else. I just wanted to write poetry and share that with people and move people in that way. But in my perspective, I didn't fully complete that mission. I know people will look at me like I am this great example to people. But all I showed people was that they needed to examine and they needed to analyze the basic presumptions of their everyday life. I wanted people to see beyond the superficial, to see beyond, to see the depths of their involvement with life, and to see the symbology of meaning in everything that they did. That's what I wanted people to see. I wanted to open people's eyes, to stop being like everyone else and to just be yourself. My own fear of failure, my own I'll just call them demons, he says. My own demons really tormented me. So in order to, in some way or form, challenge the universe, in order to challenge God, and just the idea of playing with death, really made me feel more connected to the spiritual world. I really didn't like life. I didn't like being here, not one bit. And I wanted to get as close to the spiritual world as I could.
Why did you come?
Well, like I said, I was supposed to learn to love myself. I was supposed to learn to find grounding in this world and to still be able to do what I love, but in a way that would be healthy for me, that would be beneficial to me. And I really turned it in an opposite direction. I turned it into a more self-destruction mode is what I did. Because I couldn't face my own weakness. So I was always hiding from it. And I really needed to face myself head on and really find the strength and the divinity inside of me in this human body. But I never really found or saw my journey here on this earth in that way. I just, reading books, that was my escape. That was my escape. Reading poetry, reading books. I would read book after book after book. I loved going to my grandmother's, away from everyone, because my grandma had a huge library, and I would just read and read and read. It was just my way of connecting to information that I knew was there. He's saying, let me explain it a little different. I had a very high IQ. I was very intelligent. Mm-hmm. And I always felt that I didn't see the world like other people did. Mm-hmm. I always felt that there was so much more out there, but I couldn't get to it. I couldn't reach it. And I always felt like I was, my arm wasn't long enough to touch it. So I would go into all these books to try and get to the knowledge, to try and get to the understanding of the universe around me, of God, of everything that is. But the more I learned, in some way or form, the further I got away from myself, and the more I tried to find it outside of me. I was always looking for it outside of me, but it really was always there on the inside.
Right.
But I never reached it. I never got to it. And so, drugs really take that away. They take that boundary, that restriction away, and you basically become light as a feather. You become, limitless and weightless, and you have this sense that anything is possible and that you can do and connect to everything. So for me, the drugs, and mostly the alcohol, it was a combination of both, really was a way of running away from my human problems and trying to reach a higher level in some sort, to get away from the pain, to get away from the feeling of failure, to get away of, the feeling that your father does not approve of you, your father does not approve of what you do, and sees you as a failure. He made me feel like a failure. I know my father loved me, but still gave me that feeling. He still gave me that feeling. And for a very long time, I did not communicate with him or my family. They didn't want to accept me for who I was. They didn't see the way that I saw things. And so I disconnected myself from them, because I didn't need more pointing fingers at me, and I didn't need the feeling of looking down on me. I was already doing that for myself, so I didn't need other people to do that. So yeah, the drugs for me and the alcohol, it was all a way of escaping the human condition. Like I said, I did not like being a human being. I felt like my intellect, my understanding of the universe did not comply with the human existence. It didn't feel like it matched. And so,
do you want to share?
It can go.
Do you want to share any of your past incarnations? You keep saying you weren't comfortable with your human existence. Were you used to incarnating in a different manner?
I have had human incarnations before. A little bit of all, he says. I've had several different entities and planets. But, my connection to another life is really what caused partially the confusion inside of myself in this one.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, I was he's showing me a Native American who was like a medicine man is what he's showing me.
Okay.
So he was very connected with Source. He was, they were mediums in those times. They were connected to spirits. They would get help and advice and guidance. And so that life was much about constantly being in that higher frequency every day, constantly being there, meditating day in, day out. It was not so much about the human existence. It was not so much about my human participation in life, but it was more about in some way or form, self-sacrificing my own needs for the needs of the tribe, for the needs of the people that I lived with. And so in this lifetime as Jim, I still have that connection, but I need it to be also grounded in my human existence. I needed to find a balance between being a human being and being a spiritual being. But he's showing me a pull towards his heart. So that usually means that his desire to be home, his need to be relieved of the trouble that a human body is, was so great.
Mm-hmm.
He did, his life was running away from the human existence. He wanted to go back to the spiritual peace.
Right.
That he had encountered in a past life that was so profoundly good and loving and compassionate. I gave up my own needs for the love of the people I was with, and that was so fulfilling, and that was so peaceful. I was always in a state of balance. I was always in a state of enlightenment, but I still had the joy of sharing a human existence in some way or form. In this life, I needed to find the balance. So I needed to be spiritual, but not too spiritual that I still had the human condition and I still experienced all the human. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to have children. That was the plan. Unfortunately, I decided through free will to change that plan and went completely the other direction. I just wanted to go home. I just wanted to go back to that peaceful feeling. And I think Adam, he says, could really relate to that feeling of not being understood, of not feeling like, you're seeing the world like everybody else is. And reaching for something bigger, something higher, but not being able to grab and hold on and say, yes, I got you. Thank you for holding on. I think me and Adam really relate in that. We both had the feeling that we were not seen by the world the way we wanted them to see us. We all wanted to share our feelings and our thoughts and our views through music, through art, through poetry, through writing songs. But the world sees what they want to see. They don't always see what you want them to see. Yeah. And I needed to find peace in that and love, self-love, that no matter whether they see you in the way that you want to be perceived or not, it was important that I saw myself and that what I thought was important. But, let's just say the alcohol and the drugs just kept me pushing further and further and further and further away from the goals and the directions that I was supposed to achieve on this lifetime. So,
when did you start using drugs and alcohol? How old were you?
I started drinking when I was 20, heavily.
Okay. Did you experience any happiness during your success with the Doors or as a performer? Did you feel like you were getting your message to the world via your song lyrics? No?
There was never a moment in my musical career where I felt content, where I felt satisfied, where I felt fulfilled with what I did. There was not one moment that I can recall that I actually felt at peace with everything that was going on with me. So no, I never felt the fulfillment or the joy of the attention, of the fame, of being able to stand in front of a crowd and portray my music. Because the thing was, so many people had their own opinion about me, and they wanted me to do what every other artist did. You come on stage and you just sing your little hits, the ones that are popular, and that's the only ones they want to hear.
Yeah.
For me, I did not want to do that. I used every opportunity I had to either improvise right there and then what was in my heart, what was in my mind, or to really bring forth my poetry. And, people didn't always appreciate that. They paid money and they wanted to hear these songs,
Yeah.
and I didn't give a shit what they thought. So, no, I really had, I know this is going to be hard for people who adore me. And, I love you too. I adore you. But in my human existence, I really had a hard time um, connecting to the audience, connecting to the people who came forth. I connect to them now 100% better, and I communicate to them, and I support them, and whenever somebody's thinking of me, I will be right there with you. But in my human life, I was so restricted, more restrictive towards myself. I was quite damaged by the time that I died. It's really unfortunate because I didn't really think that I was damaged that much, because you lose your sense of judgment, after a while. So your judgment says to you, hey, you're okay, even though you're not. And so you keep taking the drugs, you keep drinking, and the whole time I was like, I'm fine, this is going to be great. But I wasn't fine. I wasn't okay. And I literally, did I commit suicide? No, I did not. Am I still alive? No, I am not. Let's get that clear, people.
So what did happen?
My body gave out. My body was done. It was completely destroyed. I destroyed my own body, and so I didn't want to live anymore. However, I never took my life. And in some way or form, I think Adam and I can agree on that one too. We willed death into our lives. We willed it. And my way of doing that was destroying my vehicle, destroying my body until it was no longer functional. That is what happened. I was, for a long time, and a lot of people might not know this, but for a long time while I was in Paris, I was already coughing up blood. It became a daily thing. And
you died in Paris, correct?
Stubborn. Yeah, I was too stubborn to go to a doctor. I didn't want to have anything to do with hospitals or doctors. In my mind, I was fine. Everything's fine. That's the illusion that you get. Drugs and the alcohol, you don't feel it anymore. You become numb to the pain.
Yeah, you were not fine. Your very last performance here in New Orleans, from what I read about it, it's pretty traumatic.
He's saying I had lots of performances where I would just pass out, or I would do things that I wouldn't even remember later on. A lot of times I couldn't even sing anymore. I would forget my lines, and then I would just sing whatever came into my head. I was a mess. And I know people adore me and they put me on this pedestal, but people, I was a mess. I was a wreck, love yourself, don't do what I do. Don't go into self-destruction mode because you don't feel like you belong here. I'm here to tell you that you chose this body for a reason, so you do belong here. There is a purpose to your being. I didn't see it. I didn't feel it. And if it's one thing that I hope people will learn from my life, is that you need to be grounded in your existence in order to fulfill your journey on this life in this planet, with grace and with dignity and with passion and with love. And there was so much beauty surrounding me, and I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. I wanted to get out of here as fast as I could for a very long time, and just I always tell people this. Was my life a mistake? No, it wasn't. I learned a lot from this. That I accomplished my goals? No, I didn't. So I am doing this again in another journey on this earth.
So you want to share a little bit about that?
Well, I haven't in this time frame. I'm not currently on this planet right now. However, I will be born in the next 25 years.
Okay.
Will be coming in as a spiritual guru / coach. So I will be having a journey of teaching, a journey of awakening others. But I will also be experiencing hoping to experience the joy of having a family, of being a normal, family man, and enjoying those beauties as well, and enjoying the beauty of love and support of the people around me. So my next journey will be all about receiving love, but also giving love. It'll be a mutual exchange, a balanced exchange of the spiritual and the earthbound experience. But to everyone out there, I want people to understand. There's people who will see me as a god, and there's going to be people who will see me as just a drunk, screwed up little thing.
Are you talking about as Jim? As Jim?
Yes. But he's saying, the good, bad differentiation is a part of the human experience, and not of the spiritual experience. So I was longing for the true divine, no problems, everything perfect, everything loving experience. But when we are sent down, when we choose to become a human, it is all about the black and the white. It is all about the good and the bad. There is no good and there is no bad, but in the human experience, it's all about finding your way through that good and bad. And right. I'm here to tell you that you can unify all experiences into an experience of love. So the good and the bad can be experienced as love, because love always integrates the good and the bad together. So start observing that seems bad, but observe it with loving eyes, so that it can lose its badness, it can lose its bad qualities. So when you experience something that you feel is bad, or that you feel is negative, or that you feel is destructive, try and see the beauty in that destruction, because sometimes it destroys us so we can rebuild ourselves, so we can reinvent ourselves. There is always good in the bad, and there's always some bad in the good. We cannot be a human being without having both. There are no saints in a human condition. I mostly focused on the bad, and I'm here to tell you, don't do what I do.
Okay.
But please see the good and the beauty in the bad things as well, because the universe does not create things that shouldn't be created. Okay? There is always, yes, there is a input of the global consciousness. There is a creation going on all the time. However, know that the universe can stop anything at all time as well. But why does the universe create also the bad? So we can find balance and understanding in the contrast that it offers us on this world. So don't just focus on the bad, and don't just focus on the good, but find a perfect balance between the bad person inside of you, that naughty person that we all have somewhere in there, and the good person in you who wants to do things for love and compassion. You know, life is all about, it's about finding yourself. It's about the individual experience, but it's also about sharing that experience with people around you, with the world around you, and understanding that your impact on the world is far greater than what you believe it really is. You know, we are all very valuable, and we are all worthy. And no matter how bad I experienced my journey, just look at what it did to the world. In some way or form, I opened up the reality that you can do whatever you want. You can. And, you know, yes, society might not agree with you. And yes, society might want to punish you for the things that you've done. But it is still your life. They're still your choices. So find gratitude in the fact that you have free will. A lot of people don't think that they do. They feel controlled by their environment, by their parents, by their friends, by society, but you have free will. You don't have to listen to anyone unless you want to. So don't blame anything that happens to you on the people around you, but blame it on yourself, because you're the one allowing it to happen. You're the one not brave enough to make other decisions. I'm not saying my life was fabulous and great, but I did make my own decisions, and that's one thing I am proud of. I really wanted to do my way, and I wanted to follow my direction. It didn't lead me to a great place, but that was my choice. That was my responsibility. You know, and did I experience love? I did. I had women that I loved very much. And yes, I'm saying women, I'm not saying one woman. A lot of people don't understand the true nature of unconditional love in a relationship. Mm-hmm. You know, we can love multiple people in one lifetime. We do not need to be restricted to one individual. If you choose to do so, that is fabulous. That is great for you. But it is not or should not be the norm for everyone if you do not feel that way about it. You know, love should be shared with whoever and whenever and whatever you want, in whatever fashion that is. And that's how I saw it as well. I had several women that I shared lots of time with, and I loved all of them. And you know what? For me, that worked. For me, that worked. And for the people that I loved, it seemed to work too. Now, I do want to say there is one thing that I regret.
Okay. What was that?
And that is that I put my band members through hell. I put them through hell with me. Yeah. And I still don't understand how they dealt with me for so long. I don't understand, but they were incredibly brave. to continue to try and go on a stage with me after everything they went through with me. They went until they had nothing left to give,
Right.
until they completely empty out. And in that aspect, I admire them for their courage and for their persistence and for really thinking and hoping that one day it will be better. Unfortunately, it never did get better, but I just wanted to say to my band members, that I am with them at all times. I do love them very much. And I just wanted to give them the praise. I want them, they were the doors, not me. They really were the doors. They were the ones that keeping everything together, trying to get everything out there, and keeping me in some way or form, in a kind of sane place to their strongest ability. But like I said, I salute them because looking back at my life, when I got my life's review, I was like, oh my God, those people, they really, they loved me in a very love-hate kind of relationship. And so I just wanted to praise them and just, they were the real doors. They were the real power behind everything. Yes, I wrote the songs or most of them, but they were the band, not me.
It was nice of you to give them that credit.
He's saying they deserve it. They deserved all the love.
Yeah. Yeah, you sure put them through the stuff.
Adam's going, well, he is just he's saying he was just a spiritual being trapped in a body he didn't like.
Yeah. Or in a world where
it didn't make sense.
Yeah, and you're just being judged by everybody. It's hard. It's really hard. I mean, the interesting thing is, we come here to follow our passion and to be our unique little selves. Yet, whenever we see our unique little selves mirrored in other people's eyes, if we sense disapproval, we shrink. We contract inside ourselves instead of feeling expansive, and that is not how it should be.
He's saying, and this is Jim. He's saying, I was a perfect mess, is what he's saying.
A perfect mess, okay?
A perfect mess. I was the human part of me was a complete mess, but the spiritual part of me, the true me, was perfect.
Absolutely.
So I was a beautiful, a beautiful mess, is what he's saying.
Wouldn't it be fun if it could be Halloween every day, and every day we could just get up and dress however we wanted to, and people would celebrate. Oh, look who you are.
That would be fun.
It would be a blast.
If that happens, Mom, I'm coming right back. I'm on the train of reincarnation. It's like that would be my ideal world. Dress up day every day.
It would be. It'd be wonderful where everyone can just be themselves. Nobody says, oh, you look like this. Yeah. But people are so accepting that one day a year. So it's like if we could just have Halloween every day with the Christmas spirit, now that's the world I want to live in.
That would be perfect. But Adam says, but then, eventually, when everything is all perfect and dandy and great, how are we going to learn?
Absolutely.
What the difference is between feeling great and not feeling great, That's the whole dilemma. We all want a perfect world where nobody dies and nobody gets sick and nobody goes through anything bad. But, you need the yin and yang. You need the balance in order to actually to have your human existence, he says, have purpose and have meaning.
Yeah.
If everything is great, you might as well just stay home. What's the purpose in incarnating? You just stay home.
That's
you know,
true. I think a lot of us are saying that right now. What is the purpose?
The purpose of the purpose of being in a human existence is to experience surprise, to experience the unknown, not knowing what's going to happen, and really having to, in some way or form, feel your way through this life. That's what the purpose is, and that's, in order for our higher self and for source and for the universe to expand and grow, we do have to experience, the apples and the pears and the negative and the positive. But where we come from, when we are home, there is no contrast. There is no duality. There is no physical. Everything is already pre-known. We know everything that's going to happen. I mean, what's the fun in that? There is a reason why we continue to incarnate into a human existence or another species existence, because we, in some way, form the mystery of life is what is the most attracting part of life. And the fact that you can create your own future, you can create something without knowing what's going to happen. It is all up to you on how you direct it and write it and rewrite it. Damn, I went wrong there. Let's rewrite it. We're going to go in a different route. Making those choices, that is an incredible experience. People always say, this is my last life. Oh, I'm not coming back. There's too much hassle. But as soon as they come home, they're like, oh, man, that was great. I got to go there and there and there and there. And they're like, oh, I can't wait to go back. People don't understand how special a human life really is, and how, we all want to know everything beforehand. And that's another thing that I just real quickly want to touch base on. Adam says, people connect to mediums, to spiritual translators, and they want to know every part that's going to happen in their life. So where do I find my loved one, and how do I get that, and when do I get that, and how do I get better finance? They want to know every single answer. And I'm here to tell you that as a spirit guide, we're not allowed to give you those answers. We can give you the direction, the understanding. We can give you a push in the right direction, but you ultimately create every reality that you encounter. And so know that we can't give you those answers. So stop asking them, because we won't give them to you, because that's not why you're here. Now, also understand, he says, that every minute of your life, you are sending out a signal, a vibrational energy, and every minute can change. So let's say you are connecting to a medium, and that medium will say, okay, well, you will meet a man, in the next 6 months, and he will become your spouse, or he will become your lover, or whatever. Now, it is not because a medium or someone tells you that on that day that is actually going to happen, because you can still change that outcome. You can become fearful. What if I miss him? What if I don't get him? Well, fear will always push away what you desire. You can become, you can feel like, oh, I don't feel like I want that person right away. Let's just wait off. And you can go into a different direction. Whatever it is, the slightest change of energy can completely change the future.
Okay.
The slightest way of going off and thinking in a different direction can completely alter your reality. So know that at that moment, as the energies are flowing for you, that is a possible future. But there are many possible futures, because you determine the outcome.
That's very interesting. Some funny things have been going on for me here in New Orleans. I have been experiencing some strange visual things where, where reality almost looks gelatinous. Does that make any sense? Where it's almost like a plasma field in front of me that kind of, it is very weird. I don't think they've got hallucinogens in the water here, but I don't know. I've been having some weird stuff going on. It's almost like a couple of timelines converging. I don't know how to explain it. So, without pulling out the cheats, does Cindy have a past life in New Orleans? Is there any weirdness for me here?
You have had several lives in New Orleans. But what is going on with you, Mom, he says, is, okay, so the energy in New Orleans is very different than some of the other places that you have lived in. The energy is very hyped up. There are a lot of spiritual people living there who are constantly connecting to spirits, to ghosts, to other beings. And so there's this energy of acceptance in that place. There's an acceptance that, hey, we can connect to spirit anytime we want to, and that raises the vibration to the connection.
Right.
And so what's been going on is you are starting to see the reality, that the reality is not solid at all. It is never solid. It is always in sort of a liquidy kind of form because it's always moving. It's always shifting. There's an energy around it. And what you're picking up on is the understanding or what the reality really looks like. The solidness is not solid, and you are actually seeing it.
It's like when I open my eyes, especially if I'm looking at a solid surface, it's in the very first instance, the impressions I get are so weird. It's everything from like it's really a circle to something that's bending. I don't know. It's just, weird. So when I was here before, did I work as a healer or work with energies?
You were into the voodoo. So it was more into the dark arts. And so you're still connecting to that energy that's there.
That's interesting because I do feel connected with the energies, but this time it's on a very elemental basis. The earth energies, like helping some souls cross over, some folks maybe that are stuck, that are ready to go. More the shamanism type energy is really what I'm feeling in this lifetime anyway, here while I'm here.
Well, then, a lot of people will see dark energy or voodoo as something negative. It's not negative. What you would do is you would really help people with people who had attachments, people who were haunted, who who had the negative beings around them, and you would help those beings cross over. You would basically help people to get free again from the negative entities that were around them.
It's very interesting that you're saying that because you are actually describing what I'm doing, just using different words. So in other words, in the lifetime when I lived here and I was helping people cross over and I was clearing energies and entities and kind of helping people with those things, it was the name of the arts that we were practicing at the time, we called it voodoo. However, I can do the very same thing, and I'm called a shaman. It depends on what word you're using. But it's interesting. So what you just said, yes, that's kind of what I've been doing. That is what I feel is needed. Like, for instance, when I'm in a place and I'm sensing the energies, it's like, okay, there's a need here. What do they need from me? And I use myself to transmute energies that are there and to bring in some light. Very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, some people will call them light workers. It's just a label, but voodoo is always considered something negative and dark.
Well, it depends what you do, what your focus and intention are. Yeah.
Originally, it was not. That is something that TV, that movies have introduced, is that negativity that was being attached to it.
Sure.
But it's all the same. Whether you want to call yourself a light worker, or you want to call yourself, a high priestess, or you want to call yourself a shaman, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It all basically ends up to be the same thing.
Well, when you're not doing harm.
Different ways.
Absolutely.
There's different ways of approaching it. There's different ways of connecting to spirit. But it's all, it's all about connecting, helping others, and really helping the ones, who are stuck here, who can't seem to find their way home. Give them a little bit of light to go to, so they can cross over and continue their journey. So yeah, that's what it's all about.
Very interesting. How cool is that?
He's saying, and believe it or not, you actually looked a little bit like the way you look now. You also had a band always in your hair.
That's interesting. Well, I did not know what I was going to wear when I came here. This is like a new costume. I put it together piecemeal. It's actually kind of fun. I've got some, let me see if I can show you some of it without being indecent. We've got our little pirate booties here. Oh, nice. Why am I speaking Irish?
I heard you speaking.
Okay, now wait a second. I don't know how to show these and still be decent. Let me see if I can get my leg up here. I got me some sugar skulls on my fishnets.
Cool.
and my little pirate blouse and my leather vest. This actually belonged to my sister Rhonda.
Oh.
I know, I love it.
She's with you too.
I'm sure she is. So anyway, yeah, this is not my usual garb, but for whatever reason, my inner witch wanted to dress this way in New Orleans, so it doesn't surprise me to find that I actually dressed this way when I was here before.
Yeah, they're just showing me a picture, but you didn't have racial, you had a very dark black hair.
Oh, nice.
And so you looked very similar. You had a kind of a bandana in the hair, and the frillies. So it looks pretty similar. You had a big stone as well, but it wasn't a pink one. It was a blue one.
Well, the skill I had to perfect this time was gluing the false eyelashes down.
Oh, man, I tried that yesterday. That does not work for me.
Well, thank goodness my friend Haley is good at it. She got them on yesterday, but she was at work today, and I was in big trouble. But I had like 2 hours to get them on, so God bless my little self. I did it.
You did it, Mom.
You did it.
I'm so proud of you.
I don't know if they're ever coming off again.
Uh-oh. You just got to go like a Band-Aid, Mom, he says. Just go 1, 2, 2.
And all my eyelashes will come with them. Oh, my God, that would be terrible.
I hope not. I hope you get them off. I don't know how to get those off. Maybe just with a little bit of water or just makeup remover or something?
Well, I'll figure it out. We think on our feet in pirate land.
There you go. There you go. Now Jim was saying, you were talking Irish. He's making me feel like he had Irish roots.
Jim did?
As well. And so maybe that's a little bit. He was actually very proud of his roots. He's actually very proud of that because he always was very interested in, he says the Irish were also very spiritual.
Yes, I'm rocking 14% Irish myself, according to my spit test.
Yeah, he was very much into, he showed me like stones with like stuff on it. I don't know what that is. Rune stones.
Runes, yes. Very nice.
So he was very much into that. He did some stuff too. He says that I'm not proud of, like drinking blood and going more into the.
Wait a minute. This is another life, right? Not as Jim Morrison.
No, this was his Jim.
Wait a minute. What?
I did some crazy stuff. I did some crazy stuff.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I was involved with a woman who was a Wiccan. We got married by cutting our hands and bleeding it together.
Well, okay.
Yeah, there was some stuff. I tried everything.
You sure did. You were a seeker. What? Didn't you go out into the desert and take acid or something? lick some hallucinogenic toads or?
I tried it all.
Well, after having tried it all.
He says mushrooms and pot and heroin and just everything.
After having tried it all.
Tried it all. There's a reason why my body was completely destroyed.
So after having tried it all, what would you recommend? Somebody where you want to find it. Is it out there? If you're looking for it, is it out there? Where do you find it? It's
the best thing and the safest thing for you that can't harm you, but that can still give you the sense of letting go of the fears and the anxieties is just weed.
Oh, I wasn't talking about what drugs to use.
That's what he said. Oh, that's what he's saying. That's probably what he thought.
Well, thank you for that, Jim. But so I was thinking like in terms of where you connect with your own divinity, your own spirituality. It's all in here already. Isn't it more of a remembering what's already there than going out finding something that's missing?
Well, yeah, people will use the term remembering. I would like to use the term reconnecting to something that you already are.
That's already present. Okay. Yeah, I like it.
It's about understanding that we are all divine and that we are all perfect and that this body is just a temporary way of just experiencing a different journey. It's like going on a vacation, but one that feels really real. That's really what life is about. For us, if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, it is just a vacation. Okay. It's like how going on it's like a student going abroad, and staying in a place that you're not familiar with, and you have to learn everything again, and you have to rediscover yourself in that new place. That's really what life is all about. But when you're in that human mindset, we really can be very damaging to ourselves and very restricting to ourselves. So to everyone listening, do not restrict yourself in your possibilities and in your actions, but just always follow what feels right to you, even if every now and then you do have to break a few rules. If nobody would ever break the rules, and if everyone would just do what is expected of them, or if everybody would just do what they do to fit in, to be approved, then nothing new would ever be invented. We wouldn't have an evolution. Yeah. If you look at all the inventions, and if you look at all the changes that human beings have gone through, it's all because somebody stepped outside the box. It's all because somebody broke a rule. It's all because somebody thought, well, screw it, I'm just going to try this and see where it takes me, whether or not I get the approval. We need to step outside of the box that is being presented to us, and we really need to find a way to still stay true to ourselves, but to also not hurt others in the process. If we can find that connection and that balance in there, then you will always attract more positivity to you in this lifetime. You'll always attract more love to you. Life is not about following rules and obeying, but life is about discovering your own abilities and then using them to your own benefit to become the greatest you that you can be. That's what life is about. So just follow that. And if people tell you you can't do it, just ignore those people. As long as you believe that you can do it, then you will. If you look at all the people that were successful in life, those people never allowed anyone to hurt them or to bring them down. Yes, they went through a lot of people saying you can't do it, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not pretty enough, you don't have a great voice, blah, blah, blah. But those people never gave up. they saw themselves succeeding. They knew what they wanted to experience, and they went for it. Even if thousands of people told them no, even if you go through, especially artists, if you're a dancer or a singer, if you go through audition after audition after audition, and they keep telling you no, 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 you have to keep saying yes, 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 yes in your mind. You have to know that somebody out there is saying yes to you. You need to know it, you need to believe it, and you just need to go for it and not be afraid of being denied in some way or form.
I love it. Thank you. That's a very powerful message. Got to believe in yourself no matter what anyone else says.
Yep,
Thank you so much.
what the judgment is, he says. No matter what the judgment is. I had a lot of judgment on what I did.
You did.
But no, that judgment really didn't affect me. It was the judgment I put upon myself that affected me and that killed me. So if I had not listened to that, if I had not allowed that to affect me, I might have been able to go into a different direction. So just don't do what I do. Don't judge yourself, but love yourself instead.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. Thanks for joining us for our Halloween episode of Chillin' with Adam, live from New Orleans.
And Belgium.
And Belgium! Can you see the cemetery behind me? Can you see it?
I can't see it very well, but okay. I'm having not a great connection. So
okay, now here we go. I just want to make sure that people can see it. No, that's a house. See, because I can see what she's seeing. There's like a white. You know what? Maybe I can just take it outside. I mean, shoot, we gotta. Here, go ahead and pull the cord out. You might get to see me break my neck trying to show you the cemetery. Hold on a second. I'm trying to walk with this thing in my hand, and I've got these big old cement steps. Okay, so here we go. Can we see the cemetery now?
Oh, right there. Yes, I see it. It's a pretty big cemetery.
It is. So let's walk out here. So here we are. I'm going to go stand in the middle of the street in front of the cemetery. Now this is how trusting I am. I'm going to stand in the street in front of the cemetery and not be in it.
You are protected.
There we go. So here's our cemetery. So bye. Live from New Orleans. We'll say bye. Love you guys.
Bye, guys. Love
you, Adam. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Emma.
You're welcome.